Scotland may not enjoy its reputation as Europe's windiest country, but that wind helps make it an energy-rich powerhouse. To deliver the benefits of that power straight into modern homes, our team at Community Windpower combines nature with the very latest technology to produce clean, safe, cost-effective, renewable energy for Scotland and her people.
We started Community Windpower in 2001. We were looking at new opportunities in the renewable field. Over the last 10 years have developed 125 megawatts in Scotland, which have been built and also operational and have been permitted. The business is based in Cheshire in the northwest of England, albeit most of the work we find is in Scotland with the great wind resource and opportunities we have there.
We may have been active in Scotland since 2001, but the idea of harnessing the wind for man's benefit has been with us for thousands of years. Indeed, Scotland can claim to be the birthplace of wind-generated domestic electricity, sourced via wind turbine technology. Perhaps that should come as no real surprise. After all, the last 2 centuries were a time of innovation and engineering excellence in Scotland. Bell and Baird introduced the world to global communications via sound and vision. Macadam supplied us with surfaced roads, while Dunlop and Buick enabled us to travel comfortably on them. And of course, James Watt helped power the Industrial Revolution. But all of this took place in a world driven by the voracious consumption of fossil fuels. There was no consideration of the environmental damage being done, and there was certainly no concept of the possibility of renewable energy. Or was there? Step forward, James Blyth of Marykirk, Kincardineshire, another fine example of a visionary Scotsman. In the late 1800s, Blyth developed a wind turbine to light his home with electricity that he generated from a homemade wind turbine. Unfortunately, his idea proved too revolutionary a concept for his neighbours, who turned down his offer to illuminate the town's main street. Despite this rejection, James continued to power his own home from an updated version of his primitive wind turbine for a further 25 years. Without doubt, James Blyth and his wonderful idea were before their time. Unfortunately, his small voice was drowned out by the clamour of the industrial age. Coal, steam, oil and gas were the currency of industrial Scotland. But now, Community Windpower is helping the Scottish Government to redress the balance, helping to place Scotland at the forefront of the worldwide renewables revolution.
100% of installed capacity will be renewable by the year 2020. Now, some people say that can't be done, but we're already well ahead of target with more than 35% of installed capacity through renewables, and we still have many years to go, and Community Windpower are very much at the part of that.
Community Windpower's ethos is to generate clean electricity for generations to come and provide employment opportunities thanks to our Buy Scottish policy.
Our principle is to invest as much of our capital investment in Scotland with the companies manufacturing both the towers themselves in Campbelltown. We've signed a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with Wind Towers, Campbelltown, so that they have the first rights for our turbine towers. The second part is the civil side. All the contractors in Scotland who have got experience with wind turbines and construction will have the opportunity to bid on our projects. And a third string to that also is electrical, using Scottish Power and other Scottish companies to provide the grid connection and the grid on site for the 33 kV electrical works.
As new turbine foundations are laid, They in turn lay the foundations for the education of future engineers and innovators. We work with employers, local authorities, and national government to develop training opportunities. A prime example being our joint project at Ayrshire Colleges, where we have committed to the supply of a new engineering-based apprenticeship scheme. Our independent, family-owned business is heavily focused on investing in Scotland. Since 2001, £100 million has been invested in the development of our wind farms, a commitment that has delivered tangible benefits to the communities they serve. This investment will double in 2013 as we begin construction of a wind farm at Straven in South Lanarkshire, while permission has been secured for another in East Ayrshire. Further developments and green energy schemes will see a total of £1 billion invested in the decade to 2020. Community. The word forms part of our name for a reason, because we don't just believe in local communities, we actively contribute to them as a matter of policy. Our dedicated education rangers visit schools and local groups, informing, educating and interacting with students and teachers.
I'm the educational ranger based here in Dalry. I work with the community and with the local schools. The post is funded by Community Windpower and it's from the proceeds of the Dalry Community Wind Farm.
Most of the activities that we access or PEEP provides for us, we couldn't possibly provide as a small school ourselves, so we actually rely heavily on the support of Community Windpower.
We've helped refurbish a church.
See it from the main roads and the main railway line, and therefore people identify the church as the centre of Innerwick. We are a small community, and in this day and age not as many people are going to church and supporting the church, and therefore these kind of initiatives are very, very crucial to our future.
Part-funded village hall improvements.
You know, the community, it's
Explorer Scouts, the halls
even
there.
See, like, I think the guides they use at school, but I mean, if they get a night that suits them, it's available to us. I mean, our hall's there now. It's not going to be just for the Scouts, you know, it's for the community now.
Glazed and improved the heating in community halls and provided free insulation to householders. At Aiken-Gall, we've worked closely with the Scottish Wildlife Trust to create pathways and protect sites of special scientific interest within the development.
Community Windpower have brought funds to enable more work to occur on the reserve than otherwise would have been the case, such as the footpaths and the fencing and the wildlife surveys. Plan to also enhance the information about the footpaths, so we'd like to produce a leaflet that people can come up here and use the leaflet to guide themselves around the footpath, and the leaflet will explain to them what's to be seen and why the reserve is important for wildlife.
But BeGreen advice centres and education rangers only tell half the story. By 2012, Community Windpower owned and operated 3 wind farms. Wardlaw Wood and Miller Hill, both in the hills above the North Ayrshire town of Dalry, and at Aiken-Gall near Dunbar in East Lothian. Both towns, our BeGreen advice centres employ local people, provide grants for insulation and draft proofing, and supply heat pumps and solar panels to help residents keep energy costs down. But employment benefits don't just stop there. Successful contracts have been entered into with employers such as Wind Towers of Campbelltown, Civil Engineers R.J. MacLeod, Scottish and Southern Energy Hydro, and Scottish Power. Add local firms of lawyers, accountants, agricultural contractors, and a host of tradesmen, and the employment benefits are obvious. Indeed, our wind farms have come to be seen as a valuable asset within their host communities.
We ran a scheme, a £15,000 scheme, which we helped people put insulation into their homes, and it was designed for people that weren't in benefits, that were just above the threshold, that genuinely couldn't afford to put insulation in, and we ran that last year, which was very successful.
So we bring educational benefits, training opportunities, transport and logistical employment, and inward investment that delivers real jobs. We tick all the boxes. Environmental considerations are of primary importance to community wind power.
It's a very sensitive area up here at Ayton, and I think that's what people were concerned about. So the planners, along with the councillors, have been keeping an eye on what's been happening. But as you can see on site now, they've really done it well. There's minimal impact to the site, and the restoration work has been perfect.
Did you know that planning permission for any wind farm is granted only on a 25-year basis? Nothing is permanent. If and when we vacate a site, we are required to return the setting to its former natural state.
The planning permission is a temporary planning permission. It's for 25 years. After that time, we then have to decommission the turbines, take them down and basically return the ground to what it was. That's in quite stark contrast to other power generators, nuclear, coal, fossil fuels and the like, where the decommissioning period is obviously quite a long time. Wind power can be decommissioned, taken away very quickly.
To ensure this is adhered to, and to allow for unforeseen future developments, we arrange a financial bond that will cover the costs of site landscaping and planting in any future circumstance. Scotland is the windiest country in Europe. The Scottish Government knows this and is promoting the most ambitious green energy and renewables targets in the world, actively investing in safe, clean alternatives to nuclear power.
We intend to drive forward as a government to make sure that we generate 100% of our consumption of electricity from renewables by 2020. It's a big target. We'll be one of the very, very few countries in the world who are doing that, but we think it's achievable. We know we've got the resource of wind, wave, tidal power to do it. We know it's an environmental imperative. We know it's important for mobilising the resources of Scotland to provide the energy of Scotland. But I also think it's vital for consumers. These things here cost maybe £15, £20 extra in the bill of an average consumer to build them. But once they're built, guess what? The wind comes for free. The fuel price is constant. This is the long term for energy security, yes. For environmental concerns, yes, but for consumers, this is the way to go. Let's get Scotland's renewable resources, our wave, our wind, our tide, our rain. Let's make sure that powers the country in the future.
They are further encouraging the use of wind power to ensure that Scotland remains a leader in the development of onshore wind technology. James Blyth would be delighted. Thanks to our commitment to Scotland, community wind power will continue to contribute to this technological revolution for years to come.
I now declare Miller Hill Community Wind Farm open.
We look forward to a tomorrow where we continue to harness nature and energise Scotland.
Brilliant idea. I really do. I think it's the future.